really churn out the yards.
On the other side of the football, Florida State's defense has been devastatingly effective this year, and a fella having a great year in the secondary, a big play year, is number 6, Leroy Butler.
Well, Leroy Butler, known for the punt rooski in the Clemson game, returned an interception for a touchdown against Tulane last week. But more importantly, Paul, when you talk to the defensive coaches, he's playing a very sound defensive position, supporting the run, breaking up the pass, and contributing on the big play. He's had a great year.
If you're Irk Russell, he's saying, my, what a time for Sammy Smith to return to Heisman Trophy-like form. 2 touchdowns, 212 yards rushing last week in the Superdome against Tulane.
Well, the key to that, of course, is the offensive line, and Wayne McDuffie has started 6 different set of starters in 6 ball games. Last week, as you say, Sammy runs for 212. Each week, the offense has gotten better, and they want to see that continue.
Well, it's Georgia Southern and Florida State on a magnificent Saturday afternoon. The old grads are here. We're glad you're along for the ride. Get set for our opening kickoff.
Paul Jensen is a recovering alcoholic, but he found help.
Calling it a day? Yeah, another day. Another great day.
The Salvation Army.
A fellow volunteer. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Every day, Americans just like these give of their time and energy to improve the quality of life in their communities through their private sector initiatives. In our schools, churches, synagogues, and hospitals, in our parks, streets, and communities, America's volunteers are touching each of us with their spirit and generosity. Who are they? They're the tutors in our schools, the people who hold your hand in the hospital, the young citizens doing cleanup work around the corner. They're over half of all Americans. Why do they do it? Because a neighbor's in need, because they've been blessed in some way, or maybe they just see the promise of their communities. Won't you join them? Call your local volunteer center or United Way today. Volunteering is a tradition worth keeping.
You couldn't ask for a nicer afternoon for college football. Temperature about 75 degrees, the winds gusting up to 10 miles per hour under crystal clear blue skies. Paul Kennedy along with Keith Jones set to bring you Homecoming 1988. And an interesting pairing here, Keith. The courage and determination that Irk Russell has displayed in building this Georgia Southern program in a very short period of time, balanced against the greatness that Bobby Bowden has exhibited in his 13 seasons here in Tallahassee.
Well, a 1AA powerhouse is the Georgia Southern Eagles. Irk Russell coming and, you know, kind of in the same vein as Tom Landry, the only coach the Dallas Cowboys has had. Irk Russell's the only coach that Georgia Southern has had and has brought them 2 national championships.
There are 5 separate Chief Osceolas returning to campus today as we celebrate homecoming. It's been a marvelous weekend. The parade was a sight to see yesterday with the marching chiefs. The alumni band entertained along with the current undergraduate marching band in pregame ceremonies, and they all enjoyed it. So did the fans. We have a great crowd on hand. Considering the matchup, it will not approach the 60,000 plus that we had at the Michigan State game, yet this is the largest gathering ever to see a Georgia Southern team play. They normally average about 15,000 folks back in Statesboro, and it looks along the far side of the field, Keith, that they brought most of the folks from Statesboro, Georgia with them.
Well, Statesboro, I understand, a town of about 15,000. Their stadium seats 18,000. That man, Irk Russell's really brought back college football, and we'll develop that story a little later, but they played away back in the 30s and 40s, disbanded it for almost 4 decades, and now here they are in the 80s with a perennial 1AA power.
Florida State won the toss, deferred to the second half. Georgia Southern will get the football first, and it is sophomore Richie Andrews to kick to this man in sophomore Carl Miller, number 24. The garnet and the gold against the blue and the white. That may be the most conservative college football uniform in the nation, the one that Erk Russell put on his troops.
Well, we were talking earlier that they look very much like Penn State with two exceptions, Paul. Number one, they don't wear the black shoes, and number two, Joe Paterno has hair.
This is Thompson from his 5. And he doesn't reach the 15. Miller, rather. Carl Miller, the sophomore, with a return of only 7 yards, and it's Marion Butts, normally a fullback, that makes the tackle. And we get a look right away at this Georgia Southern flex bone, a variation of the wishbone with 2 slot backs.
Motion a lot, unbalanced line on occasion, trips either side. That man right there, Gross, is very adept at running the football.
Ross, the fullback, down the line option. Ross will take the pitch. And he has 3. Joe Ross, the sophomore, 6'1", 196, tackled by Florida State's Stan Shiver.
Ross, just a sophomore, Paul, ran for better than 1,000 yards last year. They really think that he is really something to behold, something that they can really exemplify in this flex bone, in that he has great speed from the fullback position, something you don't normally find.
The offensive line for Georgia Southern obviously will be overmatched in terms of weight. The largest player is the center, Franklin, at 262. A spin move as the offensive line collapsed on the keeper.
Well, a lot of weight on the defensive side of the ball for Florida State. As you say, if you match up, Florida State's probably got them better than 30 pounds a man. And when you run that with that defensive line there, you have the opportunity to push the offensive line back.
3rd down and 3. Opening possession of the afternoon. Georgia Southern ranks 7th in 1AA with a record of 3-1, while Florida State comes in at 4-1 and ranks 6th in the AP poll. That's Tracy Sanders with an equipment problem. They'll substitute for him with Alan Stewart, the junior. 3rd down. The single setback again. The Eagles' leading rusher in Joe Ross. He did not earn the 1st down. 4th down. Option to his left side. Brad Bernard, the Jacksonville, Florida guard on the left side for Georgia Southern, unable to make the block, and the Eagles on their first possession must punt.
Well, one of the things that if you were Erk Russell coming in, you definitely want to do is try to maintain the football. He certainly won't be pleased with 3 and out. On the other hand, Florida State looking to play a lot of people and make a lot of big things happen.
This guy's been having a big play season. We talked about him earlier. Butler. And they get it away. Nearly blocked. Butler takes it at the 43 and is tackled immediately. But Terry Harvin, with a penalty marker down, was roughed on the play, the sophomore punter. Brian Broughton made the tackle, but it will come back. And apparently, Georgia Southern will benefit from the personal foul call and get the football back.
Florida State bringing 10 people. A couple people broke free. They got to the punter, but didn't get the ball. Watch right up the middle. Coming right up the middle. Number 36 for Florida State. Doesn't get the ball. Runs into the punter. Be 1st down, Georgia Southern, 15-yard penalty.
I could not pick up the number on the Seminole.
I believe for the black. Excuse me, Paul. I believe it was number 36, Kelvin Smith. Came free right up the middle, in between the guard and the center. And when you get that straight-on shot, you've got to get the ball or you're going to rough the punter. If you're coming from the side and you miss the ball, you can lay out away from the punter and not rough him.
Florida State has blocked a pair of punts this year. 45 in Bobby Bowden's tenure. They narrowly missed the block there. Close to the 40 is Joe Ross, the sophomore from Augusta, Georgia. He entered this game, Keith, with 1,260 career yards. He's a workhorse in that single back set.
They'll run him very much like the Oklahoma set that most people are used to seeing, the true wishbone, where you belly fake the fullback on most every play and, in fact, give it to him a lot. He has a better than a 6-yard average, and he certainly knows how to tote the pigskin.
Donnie Allen, the wide receiver, to the near side. Darrell Belser to the top of your screen. Deflected by John Hanley, the outside linebacker, the senior. 6'4", 230 out of Orlando. He got the arms up against Gross, on Raymond's first attempt.
Quick pass right. Hadley gets up over the block, gets his right arm up, and bats the ball down. That's what you want on the quick pass from your outside linebackers if they're going to be in pursuit or they're going to be in a rush technique. Get your hands up, make the quarterback throw the ball over you where he has to somewhat loft it, gives your corner and/or safety time to maybe get up and break the pass up.
3rd down and 8 from the 39. Gross checking off at the line, and he ran out of time. Too much time will cost him 5.
You want to talk about the multiple offense. I think you have to classify the flex bone as probably being just about as versatile as you can get. At any given time, you've got 4 receivers. At any given time, you've got 3 running backs, depending on motion and alignment. It's very wide open. You might even think that it's somewhat like a run and shoot, except that it is more run-oriented than pass-oriented, and it could be very confusing for the defense.
You see the trips of 3 receivers to the top of the screen. Poor exchange. Gross falls on his own fumble. It's 4th down again. Felton Hayes fell on top of the Eagle quarterback. They put the ball on the ground twice now, Keith. Have yet to turn it over. Marvin nearly had the punt block a moment ago. A poor punt this time. It's touched by a Seminole. The Eagles fall on it. It rolled off the leg of Florida State's Dedrick Dodge, but the officials did not see it. Keith, I'm almost certain it rolled up against his ankle.
Well, we might get a chance to get another look at it. You'll recall that last week against Tulane that the similar type of thing happened where Dedrick Dodge was hitting the head. Here we see him on the block. The ball comes down. Hard to tell from that end zone look. It right by his foot right there. If you're Leroy Butler, you're yelling at Dedrick Dodge to move, get out of the way, because as you know, if that hits a Florida State player, it becomes a live ball.
Very close. And here is Chip Ferguson to run the offense. To throw on 1st down. And it's incomplete. Deflected, intended for Reggie Johnson, the tight end, but deflected by the outside linebacker, Shane Maxwell. Let's make the point early. We had thought that Bobby Bowden might play very conservatively against an overmatched 1AA opponent, Georgia Southern. But he doesn't show it there on 1st down.
Comes out, opening it up. Here's another look at that punt, the play before. Actually, it looks like it hits the Georgia Southern player, and maybe off his knee, right off of the left knee of Dedrick Dodge.
Seminoles got a break. 2nd and 10. Receivers either side. Play action a second time. There's a release of Sam to midfield. Eric Russell. As Bobby Bowden himself has said, I'd rather be lucky than good. Thus far, Florida State's very lucky at homecoming.
Florida State has been very fortunate in the last 2 or 3 games. Ferguson's going to get hit from the backside. The ball just kind of whizzes or lays out much like a shot put out of his hands, but in Smith's direction alertly, he breaks back to his left, gathers in, picks up about 8.
It's 3rd and 2. Ferguson to throw for a 3rd time. Reggie Johnson, the sophomore from Pensacola, carries it inside the 35 to the 34. And Georgia Southern's free safety, Randall Boone, on the stop.
Inside move and then back outside, loses the linebacker, does Johnson, and then works his way upfield. You notice that the play before, the first play of this drive, Johnson missed a tip ball. That's something they worked on. I'm sure he's glad to gather that one in and kind of get over that bobble.
Nick Economou is the center today as Ferguson wants to throw for a 4th straight time. It's intercepted! Picked up! Ronnie Oglesby! A freshman with the first interception in 4 games. Or the second, rather, in 4 games. Surrendered by Ferguson. It was off Terry Anthony's hand.
Ball thrown behind Anthony. Oglesby playing very much like a free safety center fielder, able to pick it up off his shoe tops. Shows some good running ability as he moves it back upfield. As you say, Georgia Southern laid the ball down twice. gets them back. Florida State committing the first turnover.
No score. 9:25 remaining in the first quarter. Gross rolling right. His receiver ran out of bounds. In Ross Worsham, the wide receiver. He was positioned out of play by Tracy Sanders along with Leroy Butler. He was a good 3 steps into the Florida State bench on the near right side.
Well, you get into a battle over there on that sideline. If you're a receiver, obviously you want to stay in bounds. If you're a defensive player, that's your 12th man. You want to try to get him out and get him ineligible, as it were. That time Florida State's successful.
Worsham to the bottom of your screen. Tony Belser to the top. Keeping the football. Gross diving close to the 40-yard line. Leroy Butler on the tackle. You know, Butler is Florida State's second leading tackler. He has 31 stops entering this game. That's a lot for a free safety.
That really is. That means that he is reading quickly and getting up to support the run, something that you ask your safety to do. But I tell you, you'd really be pleased if he only had about 8 tackles in these 5 games.
3 receivers. Gross. First down to the 48-yard line. Follow the fullback in Ross into the hole. Butler a second time knocks him down shy of midfield, and that's a first down for the Eagles.
Your quarterback actually becomes your I-back or your tailback. He just follows the fullback in and then cuts back against the grain. A few people over pursue, and Leroy Butler has to bring him down from behind.
Successive gains of 8 yards. First and 10 from the 48. And the pitch to Gross. Loose ball. Florida State has it. John Hadley appeared to have fallen on it. Yet they say Ross went back and got it. It was a good pitch by Gross, the quarterback. And Ross had daylight on the left side.
Well, I think Joe suffered from that problem that most running backs suffer from. There was a lot of field ahead of him, and he wanted to get that ball underneath his arm and take off upfield and use some of that speed, and he kind of left the pigskin behind.
A loss of 4. Second and 14. Gross on the hitch. Nearly intercepted by Sanders. The intended receiver was Tony Belser. We mentioned Sanders. Deion Sanders is not playing again today. Tracy had a touchdown against Tulane to open the scoring a week ago in the Superdome.
Well, Deion's still suffering from a strained knee, not wanting to push it. He's still sitting out. We saw him working and jogging around a little bit before the game, but does not have pads on and not expected to see action today.
Possession snap, third and very long. Third and 14 from the 44. Gross rolling, throwing. Tony Belser dropped the football at the 44-yard line in Seminole territory. It would not have been enough for the first down. The pass was right on target by Gross, who is now 0 for 4 through the air. Harvin to punt for a third time. This one is lovely. Butler will let it bound at the 6. Georgia Southern is playing well early, Keith Jones, here in Doak Campbell Stadium. A punt of 51 yards without a return. Steve Mussoletti, a defensive tackle, raced down there to down it.
Well, coming into the ball game, Georgia Southern's punt team doing very well. Only 6 punts returned all year for a total of about 7 yards.
The offensive set for Florida State. And that front wall, Economou in his first collegiate start 2 weeks ago, he was running the scout team at center. Sammy's first carry across the 10. In Florida State's opening series, Ferguson was 2 for 4. They did not run the ball. Darren Alford, a defensive tackle in that Eagle 7, makes the stop.
The Eagles 7, Paul, very much like the 8-man fronts that Russell ran at Georgia. You've got the 4 defensive linemen you see there, Alfred Brown on the left side, the linebackers Barry Hendricks and Sharp, and then 4 defensive backers, of which the strong safety Dixon will move up a lot to be that 8th man.
Second down. Here comes Smith. First down, Seminoles on the pickup of 7. Smith, 2 carries, 14 yards. And the tackle was by the outside linebacker in Shane Maxwell.
Florida State opened the series, their first plays with passes. Now the second series with the running outside action, downfield blocking, but Georgia Southern coming up to meet it, but not before a 7-yard pickup and first down for Florida State.
The All-American tackle, Pat Tomberlin, is not in the game. Scott Shilbrat takes his place. Ferguson under pressure. Wide open Lewis. To the 38. When Ferguson rolled, that freed Lewis. And Ronald has the 10th reception of his junior year.
Florida State in the last 2 or 3 ball games using a lot of what we call the naked bootleg. This time Ferguson sets it up. He gets himself set, throws the ball to Lewis. He's wide open. The cornerback had pursued the safety, number 30 there, come up Young, and Lewis just breaks it back inside with a lot of running territory.
First and 10. Scoreless first quarter. On the stop was Michael Berry, a fine freshman outside linebacker from Atlanta. 3rd on the Eagle roster in tackles with 34 stops. And Irk Russell grows a mean in Statesboro.
Not only that, that individual right there, numbers 56, Michael Berry, 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a 6-sport letterman out of high school, lettered in golf, and tennis, and track.
From the 38 on 2nd and 10. Plenty of time. Going deep for Lewis. A gain of 39 yards. That's a homecoming catch when everything's going right.
Chip Ferguson loved to have this pass back. A terrible pass. Much too much air. And then you're going to see Lewis do his impression of Lynn Swan. Ball's tipped. Keep your eyes on it. Your eyes on it. Fall down. Catch it. First down, Florida State.
Terry Young, the left corner, and the free safety, Randall Boone, thought they had that man well covered. No, sir. Here's Salmon. Nothing there. Young, this time from his corner position, makes a sure-handed tackle on Sammy Smith.
Young doing a great job, Paul, of being or exhibiting how well coached this Georgia Southern team is. You've got Sammy Smith in the wide open. You're not looking to get any knock-em-backs or get the big hit. Hit him up high, hang on to him, let him drag you for a couple of yards, but bring him down.
This is the 6th play of this drive for Florida State. 2nd and 3 at the Georgia Southern 16 for Dane Williams. And the fullback carrying for the first time this afternoon earns 8. Rodney Oglesby from the secondary took him down. Dane, the senior, entering this game with close to 100 yards on the year. But a pretty good average gain per carry of 3.2 yards. He's the fullback in the eye.
Especially in the yardage where he's called upon to run the ball. An excellent average.
Looking for Dossett. He has it. Lawrence Dossett has caught 5 passes this year. 4 have gone for touchdowns.
Second time this series, Florida State's going to their right flank, pressure from that flank, but Dawsey wide open. Now you're going to see him become a fullback. just bully his way in the end zone. 6 points, Florida State. Tim Wilkerson, the defender.
Andrews out of Brad Johnson's hold. 7-0. Florida State with 3:42 remaining in the first quarter. He plays 95 yards, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. The drive as the marching chief have him rocking.
It's time to catch the Florida Sports Wave. Hi, I'm Andre Dawson of the Chicago Cubs. Join Lou Palmer and me this week on the Florida Sports Wave as we preview the World Series. Other guests include former Tampa Bay Buck great Leroy Selmon and Olympic medalist Michelle Mitchell. So catch the Florida Sports Wave with host Lou Palmer and me this week on the Sunshine Network.
State marching the length of the field. 95 yards on that one to take a surprisingly hard fought 7-0 lead over Georgia Southern.
Well, coming into the contest, Paul, you and I were talking, you know, a Division I 2A school, but you've got to remember, you're talking about the number 6th ranked 1-2A school. You're talking about a team that going 95 yards in 8 plays in 3 minutes and 39 seconds is very difficult to do.
Out of the end zone. Carl Miller, pinned in the corner, elected to let it go. You recall a week ago, Florida State was so very effective against Tulane in kicking the ball to the boundary and using the sideline to its advantage.
Well, as we talked about during that telecast, you actually have the field. You reduce the width of the field. That makes the lanes get a little tighter, very much more difficult for that wedge to get up there and a return man to break through one of those open areas.
The quarterback is Raymond Grove. A loose ball again, and he scoops it up and gets back to the line of scrimmage. The third time in the early going that the sophomore from Hinesville, Georgia, in Gross has dropped the ball. Raymond has been suffering from an ankle injury, suffered 3 weeks ago against Tennessee Chattanooga. He has a very capable backup and a 5th-year senior in Ken Burnett. And Raymond is struggling early. He is 0 for 4 through the air. There's his first completion. It nets him 6. Tony Belser, the senior, and Georgia Southern's leading receiver, making his 12th grab of the year.
Not only that, in Belser, number 21 for Georgia Southern, a 19.6-yard average per reception. Corian Freeman on that side for Florida State, making a textbook tackle and allowing him only to pick up 6. That man right there, Rick Russell, would love to get the ball to Belser more with that 19-yard average, and hopefully he will as the game progresses if you're looking for Georgia Southern to do big things.
That's a very long two, and again the rollout, rough pass. Sophomore Kelvin Smith has played remarkably well this year. He is the 3rd leading tackler for Florida State, the Jacksonville native, quietly having a solid season.
That he is, and he's got help up front. You'll see the offensive line for Georgia Southern turning out to cut off pursuit, and he steps right up and makes the play on Ross Groves, holding to less than for the first down.
The punt by Terry Harbin, the Keystone Heights, Florida native, lands at the Seminole 48 and then takes an Florida State pounce. It's a punt of only 24 yards, and it's 1st and 10 Seminoles with 1:56 remaining in the first quarter, and Florida State up 7-0. Irk Russell really has to hope that Raymond Gross can hold on to the football a little bit better than he has. So that's 3 downs and out for Georgia Southern. Our referee today is Tommy Miller, taking a look at the clock. The play clock was off. It's either the play clock or the game clock, or the game clock, rather, as we'll step aside for just a moment and return to Doak Campbell Stadium with more. We're in the first quarter, 7-0 FSU.
What would it be like to play in a Pro-Am with Tom Watson?
If you see anything I can improve, Tom, just speak up.
You have to turn your back to the target every time you make a full swing.
Oh, thanks, Tom. You got any more pointers?
The best one of all. You get a lesson every month.
Golf Digest. Call 800-351-4700 for a full year of Golf Digest for $12.77. 46% off the cover price. Order now and also get golf lessons from the pros free. Call 800-351-4700.
You can't protect your kids from all of life's bumps and bruises. No alarm can sound every time they're in danger. But the fact is, accidents are the #1 killer of kids. This year, 1 in 4 will be hurt badly enough to need medical attention. So while safety steps like these might not be practical, the Surgeon General says most injuries can be prevented. We have free information on injury prevention and emergency response. So call us, the National Safe Kids Campaign.
Let's team up and show everyone we all have to care about.
He talks all during homecoming about what homecoming means to Florida State University when he's talking with his players. He did that when I was there. I know he does that now. And what he's telling them, you know, is you've got all the alumni and friends of Florida State coming in to watch the ball game. It's important for us to perform well for them, because if they spend all this time and money coming to Florida State and the ball game is lost, then it puts a damper on all the festivities. And for the past 12 years, his teams have responded.
Florida State has won 5 in a row playing at home. Here's Dane Williams into Eagle territory off the left side.
Aaron Alford on the initial stop for Georgia Southern.
On the step. Second down.
Coach Chuck Amato there with his defensive line on the Florida State bench. I'll tell you, that flex bone is so hard to defense, and I'm quite certain that's why Irk Russell runs it. It's real hard to gear up for any one thing against this Georgia Southern offense.
Terry Anthony wide to the near side. Here's Ferguson looking his way, cranking deep, going for 6. And he can't make the catch. Excellent defense for Georgia Southern by Terry Young, the left quarterback, with him stride for stride. They put the single wide out to the near left side, showed motion the other way, and then Ferguson rolled to the wide side and hoped to find Anthony streaking down the boundary, wide open.
Well, Paul, it's not hard if you're a Georgia Southern defensive back to learn to play man-on-man, because you play that all week against this flex-bone offense. We're going to see Florida State head deep as Anthony Young gets beat, but then he makes up the ground. And he's right there, the ball out of bounds, non-catchable, to be in a position to make the play.
Ferguson's 10th attempt of the afternoon, and again, out of bounds. Hunting Ronald Lewis. They're really working on Terry Young. They worked him on this side of the field. Now to the far side of the field, they're doing it with speed, obviously believing they have a mismatch on that fellow from Savannah.
If you're Terry Young, you've got to be looking over at the Florida State sidelines and say, hey, wait a minute, guys, I'm a senior. Why don't you throw over there on Rodney Ogilvy's area? He's a freshman. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing over here.
Rodney Oglesby, deep for Georgia Southern.
Tim Corlew to punt for the first time, the senior, averaging 36 yards per kick. Kicking deep to Rodney Oglesby. He hangs it very high, and it turns over. A fair catch called for and made at the 15 by Oglesby. It's an effective punt of 28 yards. That thing was way on up there against the Carolina blue sky. Less than a minute remaining in the first quarter, just 57 seconds. to go in the first quarter. Florida State up 7-0. Hey, if you want to join us right here in Doak Campbell Stadium on November 26th for the Florida State game, just write to that address with your name, address, and telephone number. We'll be giving away 2 free tickets at every game here on in for that outing as guests of the Sunshine Network. Gross with a gain of 7. A fine carry around the near right side, and the tackle made by the linebacker, Kelvin Smith. If Raymond settles down, he's got a lot of talent.
There's no doubt about that. I think this whole Georgia Southern team has talent, Paul. I think maybe the first couple of series of laying the ball on the ground, you might have seen a little bit of nerves, as you said. Veterans, almost 60,000, veteran 55,000 people here. They're used to playing in front of 15 to 18. It's a little different world down there in front of this big crowd.
The pitch to the fullback in Ross. He's got a first down and the boundary. Joe Ross on the carry. He turned that corner. Alfonso Alicat Williams and Diedrich Dodge on the stop. And there is a penalty marker laying back at the 24-yard line as we take another look at it.
Well, Ross brings to the fullback position speed. That's something you don't normally have, and we saw a good example of it right there where he could bust it outside. Even though he's rather big at 6'1", 195, he can run. And as I say, from the fullback position, that's something that you don't normally get.
The call is face mask against Florida State. That is the second penalty of the afternoon assessed to the Seminoles. The first one, Keith, was roughing the kicker.
Well, mistakes and the interceptions are something that will keep a Georgia Southern in the ball game. And 12 seconds left in the first quarter of Eric Russell, and you're down 7-0 with the ball. You've got to be happy.
From his 40-yard line, the fullback. And Ross off the inside handoff. And on that snap, the first quarter will come to an end. Georgia Southern has played very well, fully deserving of that number 7 1AA ranking. We played 15 minutes, and at homecoming, it's Florida State 7, and the Eagles nothing.
Introducing AmberVision, the most amazing breakthrough in vision technology since glasses were invented. These super glasses actually improve vision indoors, outdoors, day or night. We guarantee it. Look, AmberVision blocks the blurring blue rays, the same rays that cause haze and fog.
Everything is so much crisper and clearer.
I can't believe my own eyes. They're amazing.
AmberVision blocks 100% of the dangerous ultraviolet light with UV400, the best protection for your eyes. You'll wear these high-fashion glasses all year round, and one size fits all.
Oh, I can't believe the difference.
Catalogs offer similar glasses for $59.95. But now you can order AmberVision for just $10 on this special offer. Seeing is believing, so order AmberVision today.
Clip-on model is also available. Credit card users call 1-800-242-5900. That's 1-800-242-5900. Or send just $10 plus $2.50 shipping to AmberVision Box 700-H, Verona, New Jersey, 07044.
The Orlando Magic is holding tryouts for its elite professional dance team, the Magic Girls. During the next 2 weeks, tryouts will be held at 4 locations. Applicants must be 18 years or older, high school graduates, and may not be affiliated with any other professional athletic organization. Applications can be picked up at area Burger King restaurants, tryout locations, and Orlando Magic offices. Preliminary and final tryouts open to the media and the public. For further information, call the Magic at 407-422-7433.
58,000 plus on hand in Doak Campbell Stadium. 7-0. Florida State leading. It was Ferguson to Dawson just a few minutes ago. Raymond Gross to open up the second quarter with a single set back behind it on the option. Penalty markers down. A gain of 4. It appeared that the front line for Georgia Southern moved prior to the snap.
Either that or Florida State jumping a little bit with Raymond Gross, altering his cadence or his snap count. When you run up against a team that likes to stay on the ground, if you're a defensive lineman, you're certainly wanting to get started quick and get contact and get meshed up with the man in front of you. And every now and then you'll jump that count just a little bit too much. Get a good look here. Florida State left tackle, defensive tackle. Looks like Eric Hayes jumping just a little bit quick. The result is a 5-yard penalty and a replay of the down for Georgia Southern.
If you thought that Georgia Southern was going to walk in here and roll over, you were wrong. Georgia Southern in the last 4 years has won 2 1AA national championships. Last year they went to the quarterfinals. Northeast Louisiana won it all. And Irk Russell has churned out 10 All-Americans all in 4 years.
56 victories in the last 6 years. I think any team would take that in terms of wins.
2nd and 1. Nice fake. First down. Raymond Gross showed him the ball, and the defense took the fake. Anthony Moss, the defensive end on the stop. It's a gain of 7.
You're not supposed to be able to do this, Paul. Run down, set them up, commit them outside, bring the ball back in, and ease right by them.
Felton Hayes missing the tackle, the linebacker. Gross has carried 9 times already for 37 net yards. Trailing 7-0. It's the fullback, Joe Ross, banging his way inside the 40-yard line. Felton Hayes this time makes the stop. Felton, the Seminoles' leading tackler, also received some help from the left corner in Corian Freeman.
Florida State needs to be very careful as well, Paul, as does any team that plays the run-oriented flex bone of Georgia Southern. At any given time, you fake that ball in the middle and take a 3-step drop, and one of your wide receivers might be wide open if you have a corner committing too early. You got to be very disciplined.
2nd and 5. And Ross, the fullback, hammers to the 35-yard line. They found something on the inside, has Irk Russell and company, that they like.
Joe Ross on the carry.
They're going to go over to the left side of their offensive line over Smith and Brad Bernard, as well as I think John Wilson's been playing quite a bit for him. That's the largest part of Irk Russell's offensive line, the left side there. Of course, we haven't talked about him much, but their center, Dennis Franklin, is an All-American. Very much in the Dave Remington mold. You'll remember Remington from the Nebraska team. Very much a leader, very compact, very stout, and a great leader on that offensive front.
And they mirror the tenacity of their head coach. That's a first down. On the dive, first down, Eagle. It's 12:52 showing. They may elect to measure it. No, says Tommy Miller, the referee.
Let's get a good look at that left side there. 63, Wilson, 78 are in there. Tony Smith just diving inside and pull back over the top, as it were, very much like a goal line. Good enough for the first down.
Lester Effort on the carry. Barker's down. Gross is down. Richie Andrews, or pardon me, Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, calling the blitz that time, Keith. And Kelvin Smith on the inside came through, wrestled down Gross. It appeared that Brad Bernard, the left guard, or rather John Wilson, his sub, had moved prior to the snap.
The same thing that I indicated about the defensive lineman also holds true for the offensive lineman. They do have the edge because they know the count, but you're trying to get off quick. Right screen there, you see Wilson jump just a little bit early. Both the back judge and the line judge on the front, on the near side, picked it up, and you know Irk's not happy about that one.
Well, Wilson had just come into the game to relieve Bernard, who is an outstanding guard. A little too anxious. It's first down now and 18 yards to go from the 41. Gross in trouble. Anthony Moss was there. Alley Cat Williams, too. They're bringing him from the secondary now. It's as if the Florida State defense is becoming more complex and more aggressive in what they're trying to do, rather than simply playing base, a simple coverage against Georgia Southern.
Well, Florida State hasn't faced a wishbone or a flexbone team that I can remember, Paul, for several years, and certainly coming in the first 2 or 3 series, if you're the defensive coordinator, Mickey Andrews, you play base, you get a feel for it, see how the guys are responding, and then start doing a little something different.
3rd and a mile as Gross fakes it, carries it, on 3rd and 22 and gets to the 43, and he'll set up a punting situation. And the Eagles punt with that benefit of a huddle. So Terry Harvin is back to take the snap from the junior Joe Crenshaw. Harvin's last punt sailed only 24 yards. Butler in single safety as Harvin puts his foot into it, and it bangs into the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20-yard line on the punt of 42 yards. 11:04 remaining in the first half. And Florida State leads, visiting Georgia Southern by a touchdown.
Jason doesn't wake up to an alarm clock because he's deaf. His mother wakes him to go to the Houston School for Deaf Children. Here, your gift through the United Way provides the specialized training and equipment he needs to learn how to listen and to talk.
Boo.
Jason is learning to say what he's always felt in his heart. You're doing so much for so many. The United Way.
Life is a series of choices. What you eat, how you look, whether you do drugs or not. You know, cocaine, crack. See, only you can decide because the only person responsible is you. Now, if you make the right choice, there's nothing you can't accomplish. If you make the wrong choice, all your other decisions are made for you.
Be in control of your life by controlling your high blood pressure.
First and 10 for Florida State. Early in the second quarter. And Sammy Smith to the 25. Penalty markers down.
The ball carrier. Stop made by number 43, Darrell Hendricks.
The third penalty of the afternoon. The fourth, rather, against the Garnet and the Gold.
And Coach Bobby Bowden can't be happy with that, especially the fact that they haven't been little ones. Roughing the punter and some unnecessary contact on a previous series, and now a holding on a pretty good pickup by Smith. Mistakes, blown assignments. You do those things, and you can't play against anybody, Paul. I don't care if they're 1AA. Simple action, toss sweep to the right. Smith's going to head outside and then turn it back inside. And they're going to bring it all back.
Ferguson is 5 of 9 officially for 91 yards and 1 touchdown. He dumps it perfectly on the screen. This is Keith Ross to the 27-yard line. He was nearly taken down, was Ferguson, in the end zone by Giff Smith, the defensive end. Had he waited another moment, it would have been a safety for Georgia Southern. And Ferguson with the perfect toss to the 5th-year senior in Ross, and it's a gain of 17.
Very dangerous pass, Paul, especially this early in the ball game, given, you know, Georgia Southern makes a tackle and gets a safety. You know, they're right back in the thick of things even more than the 7-0 score now, but Florida State successful in executing it.
Second down. Ross, the 25, 27-yard line. Ross had talked about the fact that he was almost the forgotten man this year for Florida State. He had a brilliant first couple of seasons, but injuries had begun to hamper him, and he was a 100-yard rusher. A couple of years ago, back in '85, he had 165 yards against South Carolina, but much as Sammy Smith had talked about the fact that he wasn't getting the ball enough, here's Keith Ross saying, I want it more.
Well, Keith Ross is in there right now because Sammy Smith is on the sidelines with his pads off. They're looking at his neck.
3rd and 2 on the reverse. Nothing doing for Lawrence Dawson. Darren Alford made the play.
Number 29.
3rd and 2. When you talk about Irk Russell, you talk about defense. 17 years with the University of Georgia, coming to Statesboro to start the program at Georgia Southern. The one thing you won't do or be able to accomplish against Georgia Southern, Irk Russell coached ball clubs is fool them. They'll be very disciplined. Very, very assignment-oriented.
A 10-man rush. Corlew gets it off. A low punt to Rodney Oglesby from his 34.
On the run by
Darting, middle return up to the 44-yard line. Phil Carollo hustling downfield for the Seminoles. A 41-yard punt with a 10-yard return, and that a 31. 8 minutes, 31 seconds remaining in the first half, and Florida State leads 7-0. But the Eagles from Statesboro, Georgia, have the football. It is Gross under center. Keeping the ball. He gains 2. The front wall, and I believe that's Madi El-Shahawi that stuffed the inside option, forcing the quarterback and Gross outside.
Well, one of the ways to do that is to just do that. Get in the offensive line and push him backwards.
Join us Saturday, October 15th at 11:30 as we continue our same-day coverage of Florida State football. The East Carolina Pirates will be right here at Doak Campbell Stadium, and Keith Jones and I will be there to call the action. Florida State football Saturday night here on the Sunshine Network. 2nd and 8. The fullback. And Ross to midfield. And into Seminole territory. Felton Hayes, the linebacker, makes still another stop.
Joe Ross, the ball carrier.
Ross today has carried the ball 8 times for 35 yards.
Well, there's no doubt that coming into the ball game, when you're looking at the Georgia Southern offense, you're looking at a guy in Ross that ran for 1,018 yards in the regular season last year. 16.2-yard average. He can get the job done.
Eric Hayes, the left tackle, jumped.
Third and 3, big down. Your quarterback goes up there, gets under center, barks out a couple of things, and you're a little too anxious. If you're Eric Hayes, you jump off sides, and Chuck Amata probably just ripped his headsets off and threw them down, because that's the easy way to give the opposing team a first down.
The difference in this game and all the others for Florida State this year, with the exception of the Miami outing, is the fact that the opponent in Georgia Southern has avoided giving Florida State the big defensive play. Ross up the gut. And by that I mean Florida State has not forced a fumble deep nor returned an interception for great field position or a score. It's become almost commonplace, the Seminole secondary racing into the end zone with an interception.
Well, not only that, I know Coach Bowden's aware of this, Georgia Southern has maintained the ball all throughout this first half. 6:38 left now in the second quarter. Florida State hasn't had the football.
2nd and 7. To the 40-yard line. Ross. It'll be 3rd and 5.
And of course, as long as you keep that ball on the ground and keep punching it out 3 and 4 and 5 yards at a time, that clock will keep running. You keep that high-powered offense off of the field, you make that defense work. If you're Georgia Southern and Eric Russell, you've got to be happy with the way your offense is performing up to now.
9 returning starters from a year ago for Ert's team on offense alone. 3rd down. Against the blitz. They gain a couple. 4th and 3. Stan Shiver, the strong safety, was coming from the opposite side. Felton Hayes, the linebacker, made the stop.
See Russell right then making his decision as to what he wants to go for. They've got a good place-kicking duo, and looks like they're going to attempt the field goal.
This would be a 55-yard effort. Terry Harmon to hold. David Kuhl, whose best effort is from 50. Kuhl to attempt. It's in the air and short. They got a lot of foot into that one.
It would have been good had it been longer, i.e. it was right on track, but maybe just a little too far out. The wind had been blowing from our right to our left, but as I look now, the American flag is hanging straight down, so no wind-aided kick. But nevertheless, a very good drive by Georgia Southern and a good showing so far by Ert's club.
7-0 Florida State. Up to the line of scrimmage. Yeah, Ert just wanted to give his kids something to hang their hats on. At least they were trying to score. He surrenders a lot of field position, though, and Ross is upended at the 43-yard line. His other option was to kick it in the corner and make Florida State go the long way. As it is here, they surrender field position to the 39 and now the 44 with 5 minutes to go in the first half.
This defense for Georgia Southern, the 7-man front, most of the time very tight from the middle linebacker, and the 2 outside linebackers can really put pressure on offense to make sure that you execute.
Second down. The draw to Dane Williams, the fullback. Into Georgia Southern territory, and the tackle is made by the corner, Terry Young. That's a gain on the play of 10 yards. Used field position and ran it to the wide side.
Dane Williams not blazing speed, adequate speed, but when you've got an offensive line blowing people off the ball like you saw there, where you can bounce outside and very few people in pursuit, then picking up 10 yards, even if you're not the fastest man on the Florida State team, is not very difficult.
You saw Pat Tomberlin, the big tackle. He's set to the left side, the top of your screen. Ferguson wants to throw. Lewis. The 35, the 30, the big play, the 20. 15-yard line, first down, Seminoles. A gain of 31.
The second time Florida State has come to this formation, they run everything left, naked bootleg right, and the corner or the pursuit man for Georgia Southern comes too quick, and you're one-on-one out there with Lewis on poor Terry Young again. Good move back to the inside. Good block behind him by Roberts. Moves it upfield for another 20. Down to the Georgia Southern 15-yard line.
We have an injured Eagle on the field right now. The clock called it with 4:23 remaining.
Can't quite make that out. I believe that's the Georgia Southern player that Roberts got a good block on behind Lewis, or just as Lewis was breaking through that area. That looks serious, Paul.
Watch the best of live college football here on the Sunshine Network. Saturdays beginning at noon. Join us for exciting college football returning with featuring the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Pac-10, Great American Independence, and the Western Athletic Conference. Live college football right here on the Sunshine Network.
While we've got a minute, Paul, you know, Florida State down here 1st and 10 on the 15. One of the things that the coaches wanted to work on coming into this contest, did the Florida State coaches, was goal line offense. When you get inside the 20, putting the ball into the end zone. Florida State in recent weeks has not been successful doing that, and it was very much emphasized during practice this week.
Terry Young, the man that the Seminoles have picked on, is back up to his feet, albeit he a bit groggy. Ronald Lewis gave him a pretty good shot when he ran over it. Well, if nothing else, we are exceptionally impressed with the work of that man and his ball club today, the 2-time Coach of the Year in Irk. Irk said he started shaving his head back in the mid-50s when haircuts went to $1.
He is a very quotable, colorful head coach. Some of the things are very much like Bobby Bowden. In fact, both of them grew up in Birmingham, and Irk Russell said, you know, Bowden was his idol in high school, because when Bobby was a senior, Irk Russell was a freshman, and boy, they were just looking at each other. The problem with is Irk Russell's 62 and Bobby Bowden's 58. I don't know about the school system in Alabama, but I don't think it works that way.
7-0 Seminoles, back to business. 1st and 10 at the Eagle 16. This is Ross with a huge hole. Inside the 10. That's a gain of 8. Michael Berry, the outside linebacker, on the stop. Well, the Seminoles in this position thanks to that 31-yard gain, and also Irk electing to attempt a improbable 55-yard field goal. That surrendered some yardage too. So those two variables have Florida State threatening to go up by 2 touchdowns as the first half draws to a close. 2nd and 2 at the 8-yard line. Ross again. This time will lose yardage. Rodney Oglesby, the cornerback, made the tackle.
Oglesby there, number 19. You know, it's interesting how they do things. Georgia Southern's media guide has him listed at 5'11", 175 pounds, but the game day sheets, it lists him at 5'9", 175 pounds. The one thing we do know is he will come up and support the run, whatever size he is.
Third down situation, the back split behind Ferguson are Williams and Ross. From the 14, the draw to King. And the linebacker and Darrell Hendricks played it perfectly. Georgia Southern has held, and here comes Andrews on to attempt the field goal. This will be a 32-yard or close to a 31-yard effort.
Excuse me, Paul, but you said it right. Number 43 there, Darrell Hendricks, played it perfectly. Anytime you have a draw situation and you're the middle linebacker, you wait for the backs to get out of the backfield. Ross still in there, hand the ball off, make the tackle, force a field goal.
The snap and the spud. And the kick is no good. And Georgia Southern is elated. They'll have the football back with 2:16 remaining in the first half. They played exceptionally well. We'll return in a moment.
I got you now. I'm gonna get it.
Catch the magic. Call now. 89 Magic. With season tickets, you can catch the magic and capture memories that'll last a lifetime.
To really make Orlando a world-class city, the only thing that's missing here is Major League Sports. Well, now we're on the verge of having Major League Sports here. We're within months of getting it if we can get to this 10,000 ticket mark.
Call now. 89 Magic. With season tickets, you can catch the magic.
The greatest athletes in the world. The clock is ticking.
Aim high. Air Force.
With Keith Jones, Paul Kennedy. Late in the first half. And the inside handoff is to reserve fullback Gary Miller, the senior. Out to the 23-yard line. His first carry of the afternoon. And Irk and his staff would love to kill the clock. Coming up at halftime, Pat Kennedy will be our guest, the head basketball coach. And here's a member of his ball club and two-sport letterman, Brad Johnson, plays football and can knock them in from the outside as well. A rarity, a two-sport varsity star at Florida State. We're looking forward to visiting with Pat. His season gets underway in a week. They start practice. This is Gross. Gross to the 25. I believe had he handed the ball to his fullback, Miller had daylight. Instead, Gross elected to keep it, and he'll face third down.
Well, you don't see it a lot anymore in college football where you have the true read where the quarterback doesn't know who he's going to hand the ball off to or whether he will keep it. That time, a poor read by Gross, but that won't happen very often for that young man.
Timeout on the field taken by Florida State. The Seminoles believing if they hold the Eagles on 3rd and 3, they'd have an opportunity, obviously, for another score with 1:16 remaining. Here is an injury update on Sammy Smith. Sammy has a bruised right shoulder. He'll be held out at least until the half and examined in the locker room to decide if he can go in the second half. He carried the ball but 4 times for 21 yards. It has to be frustrating for him. Here comes the injury bug again.
Hampered by injuries all year long. It's got to be very frustrating when you want to participate, you want to contribute, but you're just not physically able.
Our coverage of Florida State football is as deep as it is wide. The Bobby Batten Show with Coach Gene Deckerhoff, Seminole Uprising, as well as the Seminole Scouting Report with Dave Murray. Join us throughout the week for the best in Seminole action. right here on the Sunshine Network. 3rd and 3, a big snap. And that's close to the first down for the fullback and Gary Miller. The offensive line for Georgia Southern earns the first down, for they push the Seminoles back behind the 30.
Well, jump ahead just a little bit. If you're Eric Russell and you've played a half of football that looks like they may against Florida State, and you're down 7-0, you're going to take Raymond Gross over to the side, and you're going to say, son, we've got a chance to win this ball game. Not just be respectable and stay in it, but a chance to win it.
Eric Russell in 4 years has gone from 0 to 60, as they say in the automobile business, in a matter of seconds.
I love the story about how football got started at Georgia Southern. They said they did a feasibility study. And what that was is Eric Russell got in a Chevrolet Impala and drove around the community and said, if we had a football team, would y'all come? And enough people said yes, so they decided to start it.
17 years, the defensive coordinator for Vince Dooley at Georgia.
Couldn't ask for a prettier day, Paul. Nice, bright, sunshine. This is what college football is all about. Homecoming, friends and family coming in, garnet and gold in the stands, and a great day. And, of course, as we've indicated all telecast long, Coach Bowden 12-0 at homecoming. But I know he's not pleased with the way his squad's performed in the first half.
You see that notepad? I'd be interested to know what's written on that. 69 seconds remaining. 1st and 10. And it is Miller to the 33. The gain by the fullback there of 2. Irk has used 3 separate fullbacks in that single back set. The stop made by the nose guard, James Chaney. Odell Higgins with the bad ankle. Frank Romeo hurt. Magdi El-Shahawy has played, and now Chaney. The Seminoles are now 4 deep on their depth chart.
Probably not because Chuck Amato wanted to be, but because of injuries, especially to Higgins, having to play a lot of people.
2nd and 8, half a minute to go. On the hooker pass, it's Carl Miller to the 45-46-yard line. The shovel pass. Leroy Butler, the free safety, on the stop. Had he dropped it, it would have been an incompletion. And now near midfield, Georgia Southern has taken the timeout.
Well, we talked about the flex bone and how many varied and different things you can do. The shuttle pass is probably one of my favorite plays, even though I was a defensive player in college. Looking at it now as a fan and a broadcaster, I love the shuttle pass because you can do so many different things with it. And it's very confusing to the defensive linemen and linebackers because typically the ball is around chest to waist level, and you sometimes can't pick it up. People can scoot by you without you detecting that they have that little pigskin underneath their arm.
Well, in a run-oriented offense, as is the flex bone for Georgia Southern, that is only the 2nd completed pass for Gross. He is now 2 of 6 for 21 yards, and 13 of them came on that little flip to Carl Miller.
Well, they've really done a little bit of a change about. The quarterback before Gross, the All-American, actually had his jersey retired, I understand, at Georgia Southern, is Tracy Ham, who now plays up in the CFL.
Well, what a player he was.
Had outings of 400 and 300-plus yards passing. I don't think you'll see that with Gross or with this 88 ball club for Georgia Southern. But nevertheless, as Ham was a very talented quarterback, so is, of course, Raymond Gross.
It's 1st and 10. To the boundary, complete out of bounds, first down. Donnie Allen, the receiver, the senior, in front of Tracy Sanders. It comes with 15 seconds remaining. As Gross, who had only 1 completion throughout most of the first half, now has back-to-back reception. First catch by Allen. The 43, 7-0 our score. Advantage Florida State. Gross at the Seminole 43. Fumble. But the Eagles recovered. And Georgia Southern will call timeout again. Carl Miller fell on it. It looked as if they were going to run the shovel pass again, yet strong safety Stan Shiver got in the way to gum up the works.
Well, Florida State, specifically Shiver, just took that play away from them. It did look like they were trying to set the shuttle pass up again. Very alertly, Carl Mueller there, number 24, was able to get on the ball after it was laid on the ground. Very impressive 2-minute drive, actually a little less than a minute, that Georgia Southern's put on. And I tell you, 7-0, and going into halftime, I think you're going to be happy.
Coming up at halftime, that ought to be fun. And we have not one but 2 marching bands here today. In addition to the marching chiefs of FSU, the Georgia Southern marching band has made the trip from Statesboro. Pat Kennedy won 19 games last year, went to the NCAA. They're hoping for great things. 1989. They've been down on the sidelines a while. This has taken us a good portion of time to play the final 5 minutes of this first half. With just 7 seconds to go in the second quarter. Gross at the Seminole 46. Final play for half. No, not quite. He runs out of bounds with a single second remaining. Flushed that way by defensive tackle Eric Hayes. Excellent coverage by the secondary in that nickel package. Billy Reagans is in there. I think as if, no, he's not. Stan Shiver. They're still playing base, Keith?
Well, what they're doing is they're playing base, but they're backing the linebackers off and getting them. They're playing zone as opposed to playing man. If they want to go to a prevent with some man underneath with 2 safeties, they'll bring in that 5th defensive back. But you've got to remember that Georgia Southern is a run-oriented offense, so you keep your regulars in there, back the linebackers off, and make them earn it.
The final play of the first half, the Big Ben set, 3 receivers right in front of you. They took too much time. It'll cost him 5. Will not change the play. Delay a game against the Eagles.
Of course, the game clock down to 0-0. The operator starting it when the ball was snapped. They'll go without a clock, free time, but only 1 snap for the offense.
Seminoles with defensive adjustments. A 3-man pass rush. And Gross, wide open field. That'll do it. And the first half ends with the Seminoles up by a touchdown, but they may be popping corks and enjoying champagne in the Georgia Southern locker room, for that 1AA power has played very well in Doak Campbell Stadium. Our interview with Coach Pat Kennedy is next. A full halftime ahead. And we'll return to Doak Campbell in just a moment. Numbers from the first half of play, Keith.
Well, I don't think anything is important except the bottom line, time of possession. Coming in, Eric Russell wanted his team to control the ball. They have 18 minutes plus to less than 12 for Florida State. Total yardage is also somewhat surprising. One would think Florida State would have a great lead there, but 138 of Florida State's through the air, 97 of Georgia Southern's on the ground. That is what we expected.
And no turnovers by Georgia Southern, and the fact that their outmanned defensive front has limited the number 6 rated team in Division I to only 39 yards rushing. Sammy Smith is out. We don't know if we'll see him in the second half. He has a bruised right shoulder. He is dressed, apparently set and ready to go, but Sammy was held to only 21 yards rushing, 21 of the 39 on 4 carries.
Well, if Florida State's going to be successful in this second half, they're going to have to get the running game going at some point. I don't know if I'm Coach Bowden, if I come out throwing the ball to try to put some points on the board and then go to the run, or come out and try to establish that run. But it is interesting to note, though, contradiction of my terms, is that any team that has passed for more than 200 yards on Irk Russell's team has won. The opposition is Georgia Southern has won, and it's, passing against Georgia Southern's not something that you're going to do and be successful at in terms of putting the final points on the scoreboard.
As the second half begins, an opportunity to welcome to the Sunshine Network Jones Intercable of Tampa. Welcome to the Sunshine Network family and our coverage of the Florida State Seminoles. It's great to have you as a member of the team. David Kuhl to kick off for Georgia Southern. Kicking off to Keith Ross along with Lawrence Dawson for the first time. Ross, as you know, the all-time kickoff return leader in Florida State history. Here he comes. He failed to reach the 25, and on the stop, it is Rodney Oglesby
Stop made by number 18.
for Georgia Southern. Sammy Smith does begin the second half at the tailback position, as Florida State leads 7-0, and Chip Ferguson just now arriving at the huddle. In the first half, Chip completed 7 of 11 for 138 yards and that single touchdown against the 4-man front. Smith cuts it back, earns a yard. Oh, that defensive front slanting, Keith, and Sammy trying to take it back against the flow.
That time Georgia Southern slatting to the wide side, the near side as we would look at it, and successful in filling lanes and controlling offensive linemen, so that Florida State, Sammy Smith, pickup of only maybe 1.5.
Nick Economou, the junior center, leads him out over the football. Morrison Kuipers, Ionata Shilbrack, the front line. Complete, 29-yard line. Reggie Johnson, or rather Terry Anthony, the split end. Anthony just hooked right up in front of Darrell Hendricks, the linebacker.
The same play that Florida State was unsuccessful in converting in the first half. This was the play that Ferguson threw, that the ball was tipped and intercepted by Georgia Southern. Nothing fancy, just getting a little middle zone there, or short zone. And what you're trying to accomplish is a run after the catch.
3rd down and 3 from the 30-yard line for Ferguson, who must go to the air. Intercepted to the 30-yard line. Oglesby. They were looking for the tight end, Reggie Johnson. Off his fingertips, Oglesby on the deflection.
The ball a little overthrown, but certainly catchable. Johnson goes up and right through his hands. Oglesby again, the right place at the right time. Gathers it in and heads back in the opposite direction. Probably a touchdown-saving tackle.
The second interception committed by the quarterback, Chip Ferguson. And this is Gary Miller, the fullback, inside the 30. The starter, Joe Ross, again broke his hand in the first half. We don't anticipate that he'll be returning. The stop made by Shelton Thompson, the outside linebacker. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9. An opportunity here. Well, this has to be the best field position of the game for Erk Russell's Eagles. Down by a touchdown in the 3rd quarter. Raymond Gross parks it out. A couple. Off the left side, Hadley hauled him down by that jersey. John, the outside linebacker. As they run that option with the 2 slot backs, and they align on the wing. Keith, they break in motion prior to the snap.
Well, not only that, a lot of times you'll call 2 plays and you'll go up to the line of scrimmage, and what you'll see is Raymond Gross telling or barking out what looks like an audible, but really what he's doing is saying we're going to run the first play or the second play, depending upon how Florida State lines up.
Inside handoff, first down. Gary Miller. What a surprise. The inside give on the gain of 9. Great interior blocking, too. Franklin and Gainey, center and guard, respectively.
Maybe one of the most important statistics of the game. Georgia Southern scores when they get close.
Gross has not thrown a touchdown pass this year. Nowhere to go. The ground caused the fumble. Shelton Thompson was there. Now, when he lost the ball, a Seminole pounced on him, and that has shaken Raymond Gross.
Appears to be holding his right knee or maybe his right ankle. This obviously, Paul, will be a great loss for Georgia Southern. Gross doing such a good job in the first half and now in this series of directing this offense.
Kirk Burnett standing with head coach Erk Russell. Watch what happens after he's tackled by Thompson and the ball comes loose.
Works left and then back right, gets caught up in traffic, and then gets turned around trying to go back for the ball. May have really injured himself by trying to reach back for the football.
It happened right after the play was stopped there when they fell on it. So here is Ken Burnett, the senior, on for the first time. Burnett has 3 touchdown passes himself. He's a 6'2", 206-pound, fifth-year man. And he started 3 games last season, so he is a capable sub for Gross. His team trailing by a touchdown and threatening in the third quarter. 11:34 remaining. 2nd and 10. Inside handoff. And Miller, Gary Miller, continues to churn to the 15. You always worry when you have a new center and quarterback about the exchange.
Well, you do worry about that, and we saw Gross lay the ball on the ground 3 or 4 times in the first half. You probably won't see that happen with Burnett. 5th-year senior, very capable, mature young man that can step in a cold situation off the bench for the injury to Gross and probably will do a very good job for them.
Belser left, Worsham right, and here is Burnett inside to Ernest Thompson. It's 4th down. Well, they've gotten this close to the 12 as Leroy Butler makes the tackle. Do you want 3, or is he thinking, you know, if I can get a couple of more yards, I can get the score? Nope, he'll take the 3 if he can get it.
Well, I think if you're Erk Russell, you do that. You get all the points on the board as quickly as you can. Now's not the time to be a hero. This team really and truly has a chance to stay in this ball game and win it.
Mike Dowis, a freshman from 27 yards out. It is good. Dowis nails the field goal, and Georgia Southern is on the board. Timeout on the field, 10:09 remaining in the third quarter as Georgia Southern capitalizes on the interception.
When I asked you to stop, it's because I love you.
But there isn't any problem.
There is. You've changed.
Changed? What do you mean changed? All I do is a little cocaine.
A little? I want you to stop. That's it. I want you to take that Coke and flush it down the toilet.
It's $250 worth. I won't do it.
All I want to do is help you. You say you love me, and I love you, too. God, I don't know what else to do.
When you can't help, call someone who can help you help.
Safety steps like this might be impractical, but we can help you prevent childhood injuries. Call us for a free booklet about injury prevention, the National Safe Kids Campaign.
The Orlando Magic is holding tryouts for its elite professional dance team, the Magic Girls. During the next 2 weeks, tryouts will be held at 4 locations. Applicants must be 18 years or older, high school graduates, and may not be affiliated with any other professional athletic organization. Applications can be picked up at area Burger King restaurants, tryout locations, and Orlando Magic offices. Preliminary and final tryouts open to the media and the public. For further information, call the Magic at 407-422-7433.
That gentleman has to be concerned with the scoreboard. His team leads 7-3, but they aren't hitting on all cylinders this afternoon.
Well, they haven't played well, and they have allowed Georgia Southern to play Georgia Southern's brand of football. And you're not going to be successful letting your opposition do what they do best.
To the dangerous Keith Ross. Exploding to the outside. To the 33. Randall Boone, a defensive back on the tackle. Following the interception. Took him but 7 snaps, and Erk's men get 3. But they may have lost their quarterback, their starter in Raymond Groves. It's Ferguson still at the helm. And Chip under center. On the counter, Sammy Smith. Only a yard. You give a team with a lot of pride, like Georgia Southern, an opportunity to hang with you, and the longer they're in the game, the more confidence they gain. Hendricks on the stop there, and Darren Alford.
Well, you can see by that graphic there that they know how to defend against the rush, and you're exactly right. Emotion and momentum play such a big part in a game like this for Georgia Southern.
2nd and 9. Ferguson to the air. Overshoots the intended receiver in Terry Anthony on the crossing route. And Florida State could certainly use a big play for its 3rd and long now. And the folks you see cheering are not FSU alums at homecoming. They're back in the Bald Eagle in Irk Russell's ball club.
Georgia Southern brought, I don't know, 6, 8, maybe as many as 10,000 fans with them, and they're certainly being real vocal right now.
Ferguson saw something immediately after breaking the huddle. Time for a big play. Not now. Run into the Florida State bench. It's Ferguson by Darren Alford. Alford's having a tremendous afternoon. And Florida State's going to have to punt. It's Tim Corlew to kick to Rodney Oglesby. With 10 Eagles up on the line of scrimmage to show rush on 4th and 11. The line of scrimmage, the Seminole 33. Corlew gets it away. A poor punt. It will be marked at the Eagle 34-yard line. It sailed 32 yards. Not as short as it first appeared. And with 9:23 remaining in quarter number 3, Georgia Southern has held Florida State 3 downs and out following that field goal. They have the ball back.
And Paul, listen, you don't hear anything. Georgia Southern has completely taken the Florida State crowd out of the ball game.
And Raymond Gross, ankle injury, shoulder injury, and all, is back at the helm. He'll keep it. He's to the 40. Got 6, maybe 7. Kelvin Smith, the strong side linebacker, on the stop. Now this is where the flex bone is affected, for it becomes a first down offense. If you're Irk Russell, all you want to do is move the stakes forward.
Well, not only that, but when you're picking up 5 or 6 yards on first down, it gives you many more things you can do on the 2nd and 3rd snaps of any given 4-down set.
Belser to the top of your screen, Worsham to the bottom. The fullback, Gary Miller, from Augusta, nears the first down marker. And Lean Howard Dinkins, the outside linebacker, is at the bottom of the pile.
Florida State continuing to use a lot of people on defense. A lot of people seeing action. Irk Russell, on the other hand, sticking pretty much with his first unit on offense.
Well, he's run a few fresh faces into here now. He'll take out the wideouts and go with the full house set and 2 tight ends on 3rd and a yard. It'll be close. Lester Eford on the carry. And the way they spot it, first down, says referee Tommy Miller. Kelvin Smith on the stop as Georgia Southern came off the line of scrimmage with those 2 tight ends.
Nothing fancy, just a little handoff for the left of the center. Good block by the center and guard. Linebacker doesn't feel quick enough. John Wilson there for Georgia Southern, clearing out, first down.
7-3, Florida State leading. Gross in trouble. What a move! Out of all that running around, he nets 2. That was an outstanding tackle by Dinkins, and a penalty marker rests smack dab on the 50 as Gross has carried 21 times today for 57 yards. This will go, this penalty will, against Georgia Southern.
All that mobility too, Paul, on a bad wheel. Gross there in the left picture kind of limping back or favoring his right ankle as he goes back to the huddle.
It's easy with all of that running around to get an illegal block below the waist, to clip something like that.
Well, you get so much separation that you have linemen and running backs that get wide open trying to cut defensive people down, and everybody running around and turning their backs to you. You're exactly right. It's very easy to get those types of penalties.
The fourth penalty, check that, the third penalty of the afternoon, and the first major assessed to the Eagles. It's a busy afternoon for a very durable fella.
Well, Gross knows how to run the ball. He had 173 yards against Maine last year, so carrying the ball 25 or 30 times for this quarterback is not unusual.
From his 32 on first down to throw, wide open to midfield. It's Frank Johnson. And Johnson gains 23. The hitch when you're a run-oriented offense freezes the linebackers.
Actually, you have the equivalent of 4 wideouts. That time, Johnson lined up off the right tackle in the slot position, just runs straight upfield. Gross makes an excellent read to find him, thread it between defenders, and a pickup of 23. Second now real short.
Yeah, almost a down. You can go back to the air on 2nd and 1 after the big game. Instead, they'll go inside and earn the first down and keep the clock running. Eric Hayes, the tackle on the stop of the fullback, Gary Miller. Florida State with a first quarter touchdown pass, and Georgia Southern with a third quarter field goal. And that's been it. And for the first time since the Miami game, Florida State's in danger of being shut out in successive quarters. At the Florida State 44. Inside give to the 40. Gary Miller wraps both arms around it and pushes the nose of the football to the 39. Kelvin Smith is there too.
Georgia Southern doing a great job, as we've talked about, 18 minutes of possession plus in the first half, now maintaining the ball on drives here in the third quarter, keeping the ball away from Florida State, taking time off. You know that, as Erk Russell looks out there, he's got to be pleased with the fact that his offense is controlling Florida State's defense.
132 yards on the ground to this point for Georgia Southern. And the right tackle, Sammy Twiggs, the senior, jumps the snap count. That'll cost him 5, the second penalty of this possession. Erk's ball club been able to avoid the mistakes. Bobby Bowden said they are very well coached. They don't make errors.
Well, he's a great discipline. He's very much a technique, execution style coach. He's not into the flamboyant. He's not into the jumping up and down and ranting and raving. His teams will go out and they will beat you with good, sound, fundamental football.
Pelser to the top of your screen. As the inside handoff again goes to Gary Miller. And Miller is down to the 35. He sliced off the right side and exploded past the line of scrimmage.
Miller stepping in for Joe Ross, who we had talked about for most of the first half till he got hurt. And he just runs right by people. He's a good, durable back. As you say, he wraps up, protects from the fumble, and that's a good execution of a very basic running play with great results.
And they're doing it with tackles that weigh 240 pounds, guards that weigh 250 pounds, and a center that's 260 soaking wet. Florida State, on the other hand, is averaging close to 270. With 4:44 remaining in the third quarter, timeout on the field called by Georgia Southern.
It's time to catch the Florida Sports Wave. Hi, I'm Andre Dawson of the Chicago Cubs. Join Lou Palmer and me this week on the Florida Sports Wave as we preview the World Series. Other guests include former Tampa Bay Buck great Leroy Selmon and Olympic medalist Michelle Mitchell. So catch the Florida Sports Wave with host Lou Palmer and me this week on the Sunshine Network.
Clint Eastwood is a little upset.
Seems some misguided individuals out there are abusing our public lands, and I don't like it. And I don't think you do either. Vandalizing parks and robbing historic sites or overrunning wild areas, those are ours, and we have to save them. As I see it, these clowns can either clean up their act or get out of town.
Write Take Pride in America. Post Office Box 1339, Jessup, Maryland, 20794.
There's one dangerous stunt you couldn't pay me to do. Smoke.
Let's do it again.
The American Heart Association. We're fighting for your life.
On 3rd and 4, Erk Russell elected to talk about it for a moment. His Eagles are at the Florida State 37. A big snap here. They trail 7-3. Gross on the pitch. Loose ball. Knocked out of bounds. Well, they say the Seminoles got it before it went out of bounds. That was the initial call from the sideline. I thought it had rolled into the bench. No, let's take another look at it.
End zone look. You're going to see Gross work outside, and the pitch is a little bit behind on the ground. Florida State with an opportunity to pick it up. What you need to do there is just settle in. You know, try to lay your body down on the sidelines to protect from the ball going out of bounds. That time Florida State not successful. Goes out of bounds, 4th down.
Kelvin Smith knocked it loose. He has 11 tackles today. Here's Harvin hanging it high to Leroy Butler, who calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 12. A fine punt, the net effect, following the 30-yard kick, has Florida State inside its 15 with 4:26 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Seminoles leading 7-3, and that fellow there needs to get it going.
Well, Chip has not thrown the ball particularly well in the first half. He got too much air on a couple of deep patterns. He's overthrown a couple of people here in the 3rd quarter. He needs to get on track and get Florida State's offense going, or this thing's going to go right down to the wire.
Ferguson, 14 passes, 8 of which are complete. 142 yards. We're going to throw here. Dane with a fine catch. And Williams across the 20-yard line. A penalty marker lays back at the 12, however, and this may come back.
I think you're going to see Florida State's offensive line not get properly set. Ferguson going with a little bit of a quick count, and the line not able to get set from their 2-point position where their forearms are on their knees to their 3-point position, or 4-point in some cases, where they touch their hand down to the turf. That time late getting set. Illegal motion brings back a 1st down and makes it 1st and 15.
The Seminoles have been assessed 6 separate penalties today for 45 yards. And they're back inside the 7, close to the 6. And this is the 6th-ranked team in America. 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. It's up to the line they come. Sammy Smith. Giff Smith. Mr. Smith on Mr. Smith. And Giff at 6'2", 214, took him down shoulder high.
Not only that, look at the number of white shirts around the football. In typical Georgia football style, if we can use that term and not offend the Georgia Southern folks, but as we said, Erk Russell 17 years with the Georgia Bulldogs, the junkyard dogs, people getting after the football is what his defenses are all about.
Sammy lost 2, 2nd and 12 inside the 10-yard line. Play action, Ferguson. Lewis runs up the back of the defender, and a flag goes down. That may be offensive interference. Defending on the play was Mashawn Sims, the right cornerback, and Lewis collided with him. And it is indeed against Florida State.
Lewis getting tied up with Sims. Sims having good position and blocking Lewis away from the ball. Lewis is going to get his hands out and push him just a little bit. Florida State trying to air it out quick. Ferguson putting the ball up. Lewis trying to run under it. Good position by Sims, and Ronnie Lewis runs right up his back, and the result's a flag.
It's doubly damaging, for not only does this half the distance to the goal, but it's also loss of down.
Of all the penalties, offensive pass interference is probably the most handicapping, or the ones that sets the offense back most, because as you say, you do lose a down. It's now 3rd, and you got to go to Havana to make a first down now.
3rd and 17, and you got to get to the 22. Chip on the draw to Smith. And they elect to kick it out of there. Not a bad call, really. Let your defense get back on the field. For things are not working well offensively, Darren Alford makes his 7th tackle of the afternoon for Georgia Southern. Having a great day. Timmy Corlo standing in his end zone. 10 Eagles up. And Oglesby in single safety there. Good snap. A fine punt. Oglesby from the 46 loses the ball. And Georgia Southern will have it. Well, had Florida State been able to come up with that, it may have represented the spark that FSU needed.
The 6th time that Georgia Southern has laid the ball down on the ground. Just takes his eyes off of it, does Oglesby, and I believe that's Hadley, number 21 down there, or Alfonso Williams, 26, trying to get after it. Actually, Oglesby does a good job of trying to kind of force it out of the field so it goes out of bounds.
Eugene Hayes recovered it. 7-3, Florida State, late in the 3rd quarter. And the pitch to the 49-yard line, Carl Miller, the sophomore slot back. Miller on the carry. His first effort of the afternoon earned 7 for the Eagles, and the clock continues to tick. Corey and Freeman, the corner, on the stop for the Seminoles. 2nd down and 3, right at midfield. You see the twin slot back. 84's Worship. And the option. The fullback and Gary Miller are yards shy of the first down. Pretty good stop there by the outside linebacker, number 89, Howard Dinkins. Not the biggest guy in the world at 198 pounds, but he has some tenacity about it.
Well, that he does. And he did a great job of stepping up into the hole that time to meet the ball carrier.
A look of concern on one of the 59,000 Seminole faithful here at homecoming. As on 3rd and 2, Gross, again with the full house set and 2 tight ends. First down to the 44, Ernest Thompson, the junior. Out of that full house set, 2 blockers in front of him. Gross just turns and gives him the football, and it's up to the right side of the line to make their blocks.
Thompson, the former quarterback, just running behind the offensive line, full house set, line surge, and kind of just picks his way for the first down. The offensive line of Georgia Southern doing a good job of giving lanes and alleys for these backs and quarterback to make their way through.
Again, the option. Gross pitches. No gain. Carl Miller. Coming up to make the play, Corey and Freeman. And Kelvin Smith came up from behind. That's a fine stop by a guy filling in for an All-American.
Freeman did do a good job that time. Looked like if you didn't pick him up, he was actually coming off the bench. He had ridden or pushed the receiver out of bounds and then came up for the run support, and the angle looked like he was almost coming off the sideline.
20 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. This will be more than likely the final snap, the 3rd period. 2nd and 10. Play action. First down. Johnson to the 20. A gain of 24 yards. And on that note, we go to the 4th and final quarter. Watch this game. What a toss, and the rollout gave him time.
Not only that, but Johnson did a great job of finding an open area. Initially, receivers covered. He worked back to the ball. You can see getting separation there from Shiver. Dinkins in pursuit. And I tell you, that's a great momentum builder and a great way to go into the 4th period.
Regardless of the final outcome, this is already the biggest upset of this Saturday afternoon. The fourth quarter follows. Back in a moment.
It's revolutionizing baseball. Bobby Valentine finds it terrific for kids, coaches, and parents. I can't believe it.
Big plays by the Eagles. As we open the fourth quarter, spinning and breaking free. It's Miller for a touchdown. Georgia Southern leads 6th-ranked Florida State, scoring on the first play of the fourth quarter.
Nothing fancy. Florida State just getting beat. Offensive line doing a good job of getting people off, and then 2 missed tackles. Dedrick Dodge being the last, and Miller doing a good job of heading north and south, getting into the end zone.
A 22-yard touchdown run.
Another look at it. Good initial contact, the second, but nobody's wrapping up. You can't tackle people with your head down and without your arms out. Miller capitalizing on those 2 missed tackles to sprint into the end zone.
The first touchdown of this, his senior year, as Ross Worsham is helped off the field. One he'll remember. And Georgia Southern, which is winless in 4 previous games against major college competition, with Dowis kicking, now leads Florida State 10-7.
And no, those are not Seminole fans. That's part of the contingent from Statesboro, Georgia. And they're happy right now, Paul.
6 plays, 2.5 minutes, 57 yards. And right off tackle, hard-nosed football, coached by that man. Florida State trails by 3. There is not a skeptic among 59,000 here today that believes any further that Florida State should easily toss aside Georgia Southern.
Well, Georgia Southern came in 3-1. Their only loss to last year's 1-2A national champions, coming in and playing the 5th game of the season. They did have a week off last week to get healthy and prepare for Florida State, but they've come here and they have taken the fight to the Seminoles. This has not been a fluke.
Kicking to Keith Ross, along with Lawrence Dossie, is number 3, David Kuhl. And Florida State has got to come to life. They'll start at their 20. Again, a half-dozen plays, covering 57 yards following the Florida State punt. A penalty marker rests downfield at the 20-yard line. And the referee, Tommy Miller, will call them together.
I think Florida State's going to be guilty of venting a little frustration after the play. Something I know Coach Bowden and the coaching staff doesn't want to see. And something, quite honestly, Paul, it's extremely uncalled for.
The Seminole War Chant, led by the Marching Chiefs. 14 minutes, 52 seconds to go in the game. Georgia Southern 10, Florida State 7. And penalties have become a major part of this afternoon. 8 penalties for 63 yards committed by FSU.
Mistakes will beat you every time. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
90 yards away, Ferguson to Ross for 6-7. Taz Dixon, the strong safety, stops Ross.
Paul, what's important right now for Florida State is for its offensive line to reestablish itself in terms of controlling the defensive line of Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, led by the front 4, as it were, doing a great job of playing on enthusiasm and momentum. And, you know, it's reflected right there in the third quarter statistics. The biggest telling thing, we talked about it at halftime, the time of possession. It's Georgia Southern controlling the ball and taking the fight to Florida State. and now leading in total yards, 225 to 189.
The clock temporarily halted with 14:26 showing, and the linebacker and Michael Berry shaken up. The officials stopped the clock and just told him that unless he left the game for a single play, Georgia Southern would be assessed a timeout. So he will leave, replaced by Trey Smith. And on 2nd and 13, here is Ferguson. Play action to the boundary. First down, Terry Anthony. Right between the defenders, and the completion earns for Ferguson 22 yards. Everett Sharp, the linebacker, came racing over to make the tackle.
Probably Ferguson's best pass of the day. Sets, turns back. Anthony running a little square out pattern. The ball's right on target, right where it needs to be. That might be a good confidence builder for Ferguson and for the Florida State passing attack.
Ferguson now 9 of 15 for 164 yards. And on 1st and 10, loose ball, and the Seminoles fall on it. Well, Keith, you had a concerned look on your face following the touchdown a moment ago by the fullback and Miller for Georgia Southern. Well, now you're having things like this, a must snap. The luck is not bounding the Garnet and Gold's way.
No, it's not. And I tell you, I've been in contests like this before. I've seen Florida State play in contests like this before. And I just knew and still feel that this one's going to go right down to the end.
Lewis up top, Anthony to the bottom of your screen on 2nd down. Looking for Anthony. He kept his eyes on it and made the catch. Steps out of bounds. Rodney Oglesby, the right corner, the defender on the play.
Nothing fancy, Paul. Just a 3-step drop and an out pattern, trying to get isolation where Anthony's one-on-one with the corner. But Oglesby does a good job of packing him up high and hanging on. I tell you, you haven't seen any or very few missed tackles on the part of Georgia Southern's defense. Florida State is missing tackles.
3rd and 6. Ferguson will go to the air, throws, and it's caught. Caught by Lewis at the 41-yard line, despite the presence of Mashawn Sims. Sims could not have covered him any better. Went to try and knock it away, Keith, and Lewis out-wrestled him for the football.
You're going to see great execution on both sides of the ball. Lewis, a good pattern, keeping his eye on it. Sims judging and timing his slap real quick. You notice also he's going to come in a position where he can slap at the ball. He misses it, but he still makes the tackle. That's a great play by defensive back.
And the 4th catch this afternoon for Lewis, now number 5, down to the 31-yard line. Caught it, could have gone out of bounds. Instead spun inside and headed downfield. Derek Hendricks stops him a yard shy of the first. They earned 9 there. So in the last 3 snaps following the muff, the Seminoles have come 32 yards. They're moving now, trailing 10-7. That's right. With 11:45 to go in the game, it is Ferguson. Deflected, incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Tom O'Malley. At the 16-yard line, Taz Dixon, the strong safety, got a hand on it, and you can see that he took a lick too.
Well, Ferguson took a little too much time to throw this ball. Once he's going to break open, Ferguson throws the ball now. He holds it a couple of seconds too late. That gives Dixon time to come over. Very nearly had the interception. Both Dixon and Boone, the free safety and strong safety for Georgia Southern, run well and pursue the ball well.
3rd and 1 at the Georgia Southern 31. Toss Sweet Ross, first down to the 26-yard line. That's all they wanted out of that play. Shane Maxwell on the stop. First down, Seminoles. And if you thought that they were going to be able to get the 2nd unit offensive line in there, they can't. That's Tomerlin throwing the block.
Good job that time by Florida State's offensive line of initial contact, sliding off a man and getting to another one, allowing Ross to find that seam. Good determined running by Ross. He knew he just needed a couple and dove in there to get him. 1st and 10, Florida State.
Trailing by 3. On 1st down, Ross with daylight. And now it closes. Gift Smith had him by the jersey to slow him up. Had Smith not reached out and grabbed him from behind, the pursuit might not have gotten there. Randall Boone, the free safety, number 49, able to react. Look at Erk saying, get it jacked up. Get it up, get it up.
Well, as far as defensive coaches go, there's no finer than that man right there. As you saw by the graphic, though, they haven't been successful against Division I schools, but they sure are starting to play them a lot tougher.
2nd and 9 for Florida State. Ferguson will throw. And he overshoots everybody. Perhaps a busted route.
Probably a busted read. Dawsey out there, along with Lassane, I believe it was. A lot of times what will happen is you'll alter your pattern depending on whether it's man coverage or roll-up zone or true two-safety zone. That time miscommunication between the receiver and Ferguson.
It is 3rd and 9 at the 26 in what may very well be 4-down territory for Florida State with 10.5 minutes to go in the game, and the Seminoles trailing 10-7. Everybody out. Lewis near a 1st down. In fact, has the 1st down at the 15. Ferguson threw that from the far hash to the near boundary. That takes an arm. Mashawn Sims defending.
It's about a 35-yard pass to pick up a little less than 10. Long throw. Ferguson doing a good job of leading Lewis back to the line of scrimmage away from defenders, and Lewis doing a good job of getting down low to gather the ball.
Indeed, needed 9, got 10. A big catch by a fella having a pretty good game with 124 yards in reception. 1st and 10 Seminoles at the 15. As Dane Williams works the middle. The fullback, the senior. And for Dane, that's only his 1st carry of the 2nd half and his 4th of the afternoon.
Well, Dane Williams and Darrell Hendricks, the middle linebacker for Georgia Southern, have met each other on a couple of times. That time Hendricks doing a good job of reading keys and stepping up and limiting Williams to about a 4-yard pickup. And if you're Coach Bobby Bowden, you've got to think that this one's got to be put in the end zone.
Lewis, wide left. Anthony to the near side right. Movement along the line. Flags down. It's caught by Johnson, the tight end. Boone defending, but more than likely will come back. For there was motion on the left side by Florida State prior to the snap. This would be the 9th penalty of the afternoon by the Seminoles. This drive began all the way back at the Florida State 10-yard line some 6 minutes ago.
Well, Florida State's other drive, Paul, you recall in the 1st half, started on its own 5. But certainly penalties throughout the contest have kept Florida State from really capitalizing or really getting the offensive machine going. And I know Coach Bowden has got to be worried about it. And as has been said, Erk Russell rather be lucky than good, laying the ball down 6 times and not losing any of them.
2nd and 11 from the 16. Ferguson for the end zone. Lewis, touchdown! Florida State retakes the lead on Ferguson's 2nd touchdown strike of the afternoon.
End zone look, sprint action left. Ferguson's going to throw a ball that, again, has got too much air on it. Lewis running the corner out, is able to step in front of Mashawn Sims there and bring it in for the touchdown.
Richie Andrews out of Johnson's hold. The snapper is David Whittington. Timeout on the field. Florida State has rallied in the 4th quarter and leads visiting Georgia Southern 14-10. A 13-play, 90-yard march. It took them 6 minutes. And the home folks can breathe a little bit easier.
She's leaving me little by little. Does she still know I care? She's further away, getting further away, and yet she's always there.
Alzheimer's disease takes a lot of time and lives, but the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Association can help.
It's a long goodbye.
For more information, call your chapter or 1-800-621-0379.
The Legend of the Muy Grande. This is the story of one of the most prestigious of all deer contests that honor hunters who are lucky enough to come away with the biggest of the big bucks, the Muy Grande. It portrays an adventure in the heart of perhaps the most prolific white-tailed deer country in the nation. Witness rarely seen rutting behavior. If you're serious about white-tailed deer hunting, then this tape should be in your library.
Call 1-800-547-3900. That's 1-800-547-3900. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and CODs accepted.
Babers is going to win the gold medal. Alonzo Babers of the United States Air Force wins it.
Go for the gold. Aim high. Air Force.
A 16-yard touchdown strike. Ferguson to Lewis for Ronald. The very first touchdown reception of this his junior year. Andrews the extra point. Richie kicks it deep. This is Carl Miller inside his 5. And he stumbles and goes down at the 20. A return of 16 yards. Florida State leading 14-10. And here is Raymond Groves still at the helm for Georgia Southern's flex bone. And if you ask what was the flex bone before this afternoon, you're pretty familiar with it now. It is a ball control offense. The fullback fell forward, Gary Miller. Prior to the ball being snapped, Florida State may elect to take the play and the loss of a yard. That would set up second down.
One of the few times in this half that we've seen Georgia Southern on a miscue. Miller just a little anxious to get out of the blocks, as it were. Irk's got the headsets on now, Paul, for a little while.
That's called a game face. Second and 11. Following the march by FSU. A crowd awfully noisy. They'll take 8 on the play. Alfonso Williams stops the quarterback and Groves. Ran that pretty well.
That he did. I tell you, though, when he watches the film tomorrow, he's going to wish he'd look one more time for Miller, because had he been able to turn it up like he did and then flick it out at the last minute, Miller would be crossing the end zone right about now. Florida State committing totally to the quarterback once he passes the line of scrimmage, and you need to be careful about doing that, because sometimes someone with a talent of a Groves can pitch it past the line of scrimmage and burn you.
On 3rd and 4 with 7.5 minutes remaining. Hayes stuffs them both. And the play is whistled in. What a play by Eric Hayes. He tackled the fullback and the quarterback.
Well, coming into preseason, Coach Chuck Amato was not happy with the weight that Eric Hayes was carrying around. I think in this case it helped him. Steps inside, just grabs both of them. Says, just give me 3 or 4 of them. I'll just throw them out until I find the one with the ball carrier.
Pick 1. A tremendous defensive play. Harmon forced a punt. A low snap. Butler backpedaling from his 34. And across midfield. This has been an afternoon of upsets and near upsets. Look what happened in Gainesville as Memphis State has beaten the Gators. 17-11. Our score is Butler here with the fine return.
Leroy Butler, a.k.a. Deion Sanders.
We've been given that score. Memphis State 17, Florida 11. On the first down carry, Keith Ross to the 45. Michael Berry, the outside linebacker, on the stop.
Obviously, if you're Eric Russell, you want your team to get the ball back quickly. On the other sideline, if you're Bobby Bowden, I would think you want to try, if you can, to keep the ball on the ground and let this time run out.
2nd and 9, I formation. Williams and Ross. Ferguson, dumping. Williams to the 30. And the Seminoles are rolling now. Mashawn Sims, the strong safety on the stop, following the gain of 16 yards, and it's first down, Florida State.
On several occasions, we've seen Dane Williams come in with gain 10, 12, 15, either on a draw or a fullback dive, or in this case, a pass out to the flat. Again, Paul, and we've said it all year long, probably as dependable a back as Florida State has in terms of converting that which he is expected to convert.
6:05 remaining in the game. On first down, this is Ferguson. Again to the sideline, and O'Malley, the tight end, makes the grab, gets the foot down at the 23-yard line. Everybody covered deep. That was at least the second receiver that Ferguson eyed.
He was trying to go with either Anthony or Lewis. Lewis on the left side, Anthony streaking on the right. Everybody covered, finds O'Malley to the sideline. Again, a good safe pass, as long as you lead it outside, not a chance of being intercepted. The line played good, initial surge, step back, protect, protect, protect. No hold penalties, please, guys. And they convert.
A gain of 7, 2nd and 3. Inside Dane Williams. Williams for the end zone. Touchdown, Seminoles.
Dane Williams for the Seminoles touchdown.
A penalty marker down for delay a game, I'm sure. On the end zone celebration. Have a right to celebrate on that 23-yard gain by the fullback and Dane Williams. It blows it out to a 20-10 Florida State cushion.
Watch Williams break it back outside, and then watch the good downfield block by Anthony. That allows Williams to sprint to the corner. Gets there just ahead of the Georgia Southern defender. Senior business major out of Leesburg, Florida. 12 miles from Wildwood, by the way, Paul.
Right on the map. His second touchdown of the year. The icing provided by Richie Andrews. And this one is shaping up more along the lines of a homecoming game. Florida State 21, Georgia Southern 10. We are 5 minutes and 51 seconds away from the finish line here in Doak Campbell Stadium. Take this 21-10 lead. That's Richie Andrews to kick to Carl Miller. And the ball, the penalty was not against Florida State, but rather Georgia Southern. And with it 15 yards further upfield at midfield, a guy like Andrews can kick it clear out of the stadium, and he nearly did. It'll be brought out to the 20. It was an unsportsmanlike conduct call against Georgia Southern. 4 plays, 47 yards. It took them less than a minute for the Seminoles to go nearly half the length of the field. And Dane Williams with his second touchdown of the season from 23 yards out. Andrews the extra point. Gross at center. Off the pitch to Gary Miller. Gang tackling by Reed rejuvenated Florida State.
One of the handicaps of the flex bone, Paul, is exactly what you're seeing now. If you're down by 11 points, it being the flex bone offense, does not lend itself to converting the big play like the iPro would when you could get receivers downfield. It's a ball control, run-oriented offense, and in some cases, like right now, it can be disadvantageous to Georgia Southern.
A gain of but 1. Ross Worsham comes wide to the near side. That's Tony Belser to the top of your screen. On the reverse to Belser. Thompson stays at home. How quickly this game has changed.
Thompson doing a great job. You'll see him there. The right outside linebacker is going to stay at home. Be very easy to try to get into a lane. He sees Belser coming back around and does a little mirror drill, much like basketball drills.
From Lakeland, Florida. He solved that puzzle, didn't he? 4.5 minutes remaining. That clock running, and Raymond Gross and the Eagles facing 3rd and 13. A 3-man rush. Incomplete, intended for Belser up at the 30. He was open on Tracy Sanders and didn't pick up the football to the last moment. It was thrown slightly behind him. It's 4th down, and for a second consecutive series, the Georgia Southern offense is limited to about 3 plays, and they'll kick it away. It's Terry Harvin to punt. His best effort has been a 51-yard. Leroy Butler right at midfield. Inside the 40 to the 37-yard line. A 33-yard line drive kick. A dozen yards on the return by Butler. And Joe Crenshaw, a defensive lineman, hustled downfield to make the stop. In the second half, Chip Ferguson is 9 of 13 for 109 yards and a touchdown. Also the interception. 21-10 FSU. 4 minutes remaining. And this is Chris Parker, the freshman tailback from Jacksonville, 6 feet tall, 218. His first carry. And Trey Smith, the inside linebacker, a big guy, is the tallest Eagle, makes the stop.
On that particular occasion, you saw why the offensive staff for Florida State are so high on Chris Parker. Trey Smith steps in the hole, makes a good hit. Parker is strength and big enough to kind of spin around and pick up another 2 or 3.
Trey Smith stands 6'5". Gain of 3, 2nd and 7, operating at the Eagle 34. This is fullback Paul Moore, another freshman carrying, close to a first down. As Wayne McDuffie, the offensive coordinator, and head coach Bobby Bowden have elected to go with a fresh backfield and play the freshman now late in the football game. 3:10 and counting to go.
The reestablishment of the prowess, the offensive line of Florida State. See how they're moving that defensive line off the ball.
First down, Florida State. Moore, the Miamian, a second consecutive time, and into the arms of the defensive guard, Charlie Waller, 240-pounder. Well, Georgia Southern led, scoring on the very first play of this final period, led 10-7. But a touchdown pass from Ferguson to Lewis and a 23-yard run by Dane Williams. It's 21-10 Florida State, 2:30 to play, as the Seminoles try and finish off homecoming 88. Parker to the 21 and upended by Rodney Oglesby. Got him around the ankles.
You got to be impressed with his play today, Paul. Rodney Oglesby.
A penalty marker thrown late away from the football. Here's the call. And now it is Georgia Southern, which has played so very well this afternoon, frustrated in the late going.
He truly is a magician, is Erk Russell. I guess one of the neatest stories to come out of Statesboro on this guy I just found truly amazing was him renaming the ditch that runs by the school the beautiful Eagle Creek. and making it stick. People now enjoying it.
Yeah, they bring water from this mosquito-infested creek that Irk finds lovely and sprinkle it on their opponent's field. For better than 3 quarters, the magic worked, and it transfixed the Seminoles. But they've awakened from their slumber and are putting it away as Parker cuts inside the 5 and carries to the 2.
Number 35, Chris Parker.
Mutterman, the free safety.
Number 42, Jim Whitmer.
And watch the line. Open it up.
Another look. Guard and tackle pull. Parker in right behind them. Just opens up. And he's right there to get it and nose it down close. Just a freshman.
Second down. The Seminoles, second and short, can actually earn a first down with 1:45 remaining. I formation. Toss sweep. Parker carried over the threshold or not. He was stopped shy. Surged close to the goal line. The ball came out. But Florida State will maintain possession. From ground level, Keith. He nearly broke the plane.
See if he breaks the plane. Also see where the ball is. He's upended, kind of carries his momentum forward. Somewhere in that pile, the ball breaks loose, either after he's tackled or while he's in the air, and they'll bring it in and measure.
1:28 in counting as they stretch the chains, and it is first and goal, Florida State. We are as happy as anyone here in this stadium this afternoon or watching throughout the United States that Florida State is going to win the game. But for Georgia Southern, they deserve a better fate than a 28-10 final verdict.
Well, they played an extremely tough, aggressive football game, especially for about 3 quarters and maybe 2 plays into the 4th.
And Parker is in, and the score swells. Parker has his first collegiate touchdown. Bobby Bowden will have his 5th win of this 1988 season. But it did not come without a fight.
Nothing fancy, a little toss in between the tackle, just bury it into the end zone, following people, Parker in there for 6.
27-10, and this is Andrews to make it a 28-10 game. The crowd starts heading home. Bobby Bowden will be 13-0 at homecoming at Florida State. But the folks here will remember one Erskine Russell and his Eagles from Statesboro. Back with the final 113 in a moment.
Richard Zorn, please call.
Can you identify the #1 threat to kids? It's always nearby. At the house, in the car, on the way to school. This is the leading killer of kids. Accidents. Every year, 1 in 4 kids is hurt badly enough to need medical attention. The Surgeon General says most injuries can be prevented. Call the National Safe Kids campaign for a free booklet on injury prevention and emergency response.
Safe kids are no accident.
1-800-365-KIDS.
This brand new British design dual driver, different from any other tool ever seen before, fits any drill, replaces screwdrivers, and combines all into one all-steel space-age unit. This you'd never attempt with a screwdriver. Just look at the clutch working. That's why you'll never damage the head of a screw. And that's why it's different from any other tool you've ever seen before. The secret is in the automatic clutch and torque control. With the dual driver socket adapter, use it with any of your socket sets and wrenches. We're so certain of its quality, we guarantee it for 2 years. This dual driver is not available anywhere else in the USA. Here's how to order. Plus free for the first 1,000 callers, multi-tool, nationally advertised for $9.99.
To order, credit card customers call 1-800-782-1011. That's 1-800-782-1011. Or save COD charges and send just $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Dual Driver, P.O. Box 2426-E, Grand Central Station, New York, New York.
Why bother? It's too much trouble to register, and 1 vote doesn't matter. Good for you. Some people are glad you feel that way. Then they can have things their way. But if you won't bother, what can we do? Maybe nothing. Because if the balance of power gets too one-sided, it becomes absolute power. Then maybe you'll have to get a registration card. But it won't be for voting. Register.
The excitement is what makes a Calder Day special. Post time, 1 p.m.
The director of athletics at Florida State, Hootie Ingram. He and Erk Russell were on Vince Dooley's original staff at Georgia some 25 years ago. He's known Erk a long, long time. On the return, Carl Miller. He allowed Erk Russell to schedule that JV game some 7 years ago, but it was a club sport for Georgia Southern. He said Erk nearly beat us then, was leading by 10 at halftime, and thought they were in trouble. It's been a big difference, Erk bringing the JVs in here and coming back 7 years later and playing Florida State for better than 3 quarters. You see the scoring drive there. Parker with the 3rd touchdown of the 4th quarter for the Seminoles. 1:08 remaining. Gross from his 18. Shuffle pass to the 25. Frank Johnson up to the 30. And out of bounds to stop the clock with 1:01 showing. Diedrich dodged the free safety on the stop. Gross officially, Keith, 6 of 11 for 88 yards today. And he carried the ball 22 times for a net 54 yards.
Well, he has certainly shown why Georgia Southern pins high hopes on their ability to get back into the 1AA playoffs this year.
The fullback pounding it out in Gary Miller.
You know, Paul, another interesting coaching note, Coach Wayne McDuffie, the offensive coordinator for Florida State, on the Georgia staff for 5 years with Erk Russell. Wayne, the offensive coordinator, or offensive line coach, actually, and Erk Russell, the defensive coordinator for the Bulldogs.
There are 88 universities in Division I AA. This is one of the best in Georgia Southern. Tony Belser steps out of bounds upfield at the 44 following the completion from Gross. John Hadley, the linebacker, credited with the tackle. Georgia Southern can give but 70 scholarships. Florida State Division I can award 95. And that depth shows up in the 4th quarter.
Well, not only that, the first year that Georgia Southern played the club sport, Erk Russell started the team with all walk-ons. No scholarships, nobody invited to play. Just show up, 11 o'clock, we'll start practice.
When can you get here? Huffman wants to buy time. Incomplete. Stan Shiver over the back of Johnson at the Seminole 45. 18 seconds remaining.
Shiver featured in today's Tribe, the program handed out or sold at the game today for his contributions to Florida State. A 4-year starter, someone that this past year you haven't heard a lot of. Why? Because he and Deion Sanders play the left side of that defense and people just stay away from him.
2nd and 10. From the 44. Looking for the shuffle pass. Nobody there. Now Gross. And there's Stan. His ears were burning. 6 seconds to go. Stan has the interception. That's his first of the season for the 4-year starter.
Known as Shive to his teammates. Interesting story, when they were doing the headshots for the Miami game, his jersey was the only one that was available for CBS to come in and do the telecast, and several of the players commented publicly to the CBS crew that they were happy to put on Shive's jersey. They'd like to be known as he is for the player.
The hardest hitting Seminole. Bobby Bowden says, yeah, he'll hit you a little bit. And he works awfully hard in practice, too. He looks like Erk.
He's my daughter's favorite swimming partner, too. Loves kids.
On the draw, this is Parker. To midfield. And that's the ball game. This one belongs to Florida State.